So Netflix is not having a good time thanks to their new series, Queen Cleopatra. Now, the audience scores were recently allowed to flow over on Rotten Tomatoes because when this series first came out, even though they had some scores on the website, you could tell something was wrong because they didn't have the actual percentage point displayed. So a lot of people were wondering what was going on, and I mean, rightfully so. It looked like they were running a little bit of protection for the series, as Rotten Tomatoes is known to do from time to time. Well, they lifted that, and now we see the audience score. The other day it was at 1%. It has risen to 2%, but that doesn't matter. It turns out that this is actually the worst audience score in TV history, which is pretty funny if you think about it. It's awful. Awful for them. Out of all the shows, you got to think about it. Think about all of the bad shows that we've talked about just on this channel alone. There's so many bad shows. But yet, Queen Cleopatra tops them all as the number one worst rated TV show of all time. It appears to be justified, actually, as well. And you could take the whole discussion of her background out of it. It actually sucks because it's just an awfully made show. It's got too much inserted shit into it to make it a documentary series that anybody that's a fan of these types of series, and there's a lot of them, myself included, I love docudramas. I think that they're fun when done right. People take liberties with shows like this all the time, but they're usually done to kind of make things a little bit more tolerable for entertainment purposes. This show is just a self-insert of people that wanted to change history, and it's something that people don't like. However, of course, when you do something like that, when you criticize a show for doing stuff like this, you're always going to have people come out and run damage control, like British Vogue here, who says, as of May 13th, let's just call the outrage around Cleopatra what it is, racism, which is bullshit. People, what are you going to do? So you're calling, once again, the entire nation of Egypt racist, which is kind of messed up if you think about it. If anybody has the right to be outraged about this series, it's Egypt. And Egypt is pissed. There's a lot of Egyptian leaders and people in Egypt that are not happy about this. They're so unhappy about it that they're making their own series. They're going to make their own docu-series for people to watch that will probably honestly be a hell of a lot better than this piece of shit. So, it's funny. The entire nation of Egypt is a racist country now because they don't like that Netflix and Jada Pinkett Smith, Queen Cuckoldress, with her little boy Will Smith, doesn't like this series. They don't like that they did this to their queen, former pharaoh, who seems to be pretty liked in their history. And they decided that, well, it doesn't matter what Egypt thinks. They have no right to deny Jada Pinkett Smith and the producer's grandmother's history to be told. Because that's right. At the beginning of Queen Cleopatra, one of the producer's grandmother gets a quote. And she talks about how, I don't care what they told you in school. Queen Cleopatra was black. Wow, what a scientific argument that you make there. What a factual argument you're making. Just tell them. You tell them. Now, they would blast anybody else that says something like that, by the way. But, I was surprised to see this statement from Salon, which is one of the wokest websites out there, by the way. Woker than woke. They defend some of the nastiest people out there. But I have to give them credit for asking the obvious question that I brought up before. The question isn't why cast a black Cleopatra, but rather why not profile another African queen? Netflix's Queen Cleopatra has its moments, but do we really need another take on the superstar of history? I wouldn't mind an updated, factually accurate series. I like shows like this. The Rome stuff is still the best, by the way, and I'll say it again. If you're looking to watch something like a Cleopatra series, go watch Rome. If you have HBO Max, it should be on there. Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's just Max now. What a stupid name. But Salon is totally correct here. There are a lot of African queens that you could have made a series about. Why didn't you just make one about them? And you could have told a story that's probably never been told before, but you decided to do this. And nobody likes it. In fact, the only record you've broken now is the audience score for a television series on how low it can go. Good job, Jada Pinkett Smith. Good job. Proving once again that she's just another talentless hack. So, I find these things funny, saying, oh, people that are mad about this show are just racist. I don't think so. That's not what's going on here. People that like history are pretty vocal, and this is a changing of history, and it's just doing it to have it around modern sensibilities. We want to change history to make it reflect a more modern time, and that's not what we should be doing. And Egypt makes that point every time they talk about this. They don't like their history being appropriated. And it's funny, when you actually have a culture stand up and say, don't appropriate our shit, the response is to just call them racist. It's disgusting, to be honest. So, congratulations to Netflix with another massive failure. This is a massive, massive failure for them, and I'm just laughing all the way to the bank on it, to be honest. I'm going to talk about this show every time it hits a new milestone of failure because the show should have never been made. In fact, you could have made the show. I don't understand why they didn't just make this and make it accurate. Like I said before, you could have just cast an Egyptian woman to play her because at the end of the day, that's what Cleopatra wanted to be remembered as, an Egyptian. You could have just cast an Egyptian woman in the part. And I don't think anybody would have cared, to be honest. I think that would have been fine. You get a, because she wasn't a super hot woman, you get an average, okay looking Egyptian to play her. And I think at the end of the day, everyone would have been happy. There would have been some people that probably would have wanted, because there is a very genuine complaint that she is more Greek looking. But I think at the end of the day, most people would have said, okay, well, she's Egyptian, whatever. And would have, if the show was good, would have judged it as such. But you decided to go the controversy route. You decided to do the self-insert route. And because of that, you now have achieved greatness. At least in failure. I know those are a little odd statement, but you've achieved the greatest of lowest scores possible, a 2% audience score. And you can't really talk about review bombing without talking about critics, because the critics don't like it either, for the 9 brave souls that were willing to go on record and say that this is a piece of shit show. 11%. Youch. So the show's just not good. The only way you could get anybody to talk about it was by doing this. Maybe that was the plan all along. That you just wanted people to run it into the ground so that they would maybe go watch it. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Comment below, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.